1, 2, 3, 4 1, 2, 3 너 그래 너 요새 너 조금 이상해졌어 자꾸만.
Throughout my time learning Korean, I haven't found a study resource that took the approach like the content creator Leonardo Kim, aka mykoreandic. You can find him on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. This creator has taken one of the most unique approaches to teaching Korean culture alongside the language, and I'm 100% here for it. Up until now, the bulk of the content that he has released was YouTube Shorts and TikToks on a range of topics that talked about Korean culture that you wouldn't necessarily find in textbooks or other Korean language content creators' pages. I also have to admit that this approach is probably what made him stand out from the rest of the creators and grow so fast. When you watch his content, you are not only learning Korean, but you are also getting a source of entertainment and humor, making it a fun way to learn new things about Korea. As of recently, My Korean Dic has released a book which aims to give an appropriate culture background to speaking Korean and correct any misunderstandings. In my time studying Korean, I have not yet picked up a book with an approach like this one. This book has reached number 1 in the language category in Amazon Canada and number 3 in other countries as well. So me being the curious Korean learner that I am, I immediately put this book in my Amazon cart and impatiently waited for it to arrive and see what the hype was all about. Once the book arrived, I immediately fell in love with it. A lot of people say not to judge a book by its cover, but for me personally, that's exactly what I do. But when I first saw this amazing and eye-catching cover, I knew that the contents inside were going to be just as good. My first impressions of the book was high, and they are currently still high, but I have personally watched a lot of My Korean Dic's content before reading this book, and I was really intrigued to see how the content I love so much would translate into this book. This book is broken into 2 main sections, them being people and emotions. These sections are then broken into little chapters about each word. From the minute I started reading, I was definitely pulled into this book and loved the preface that the book started with. Without giving too much away, I wanted to bring up some quotes that I really like. The first one being, they feel a sense of defeat and blame themselves. But no, it's the failure of the Korean education system, not you. The second one is, to avoid misunderstandings, we should adopt the perspective of English native speakers when we speak English, and we should adopt the perspective of Korean native speakers when we speak Korean. And my last favorite one is, comprehension of the surrounding culture is the key to learning a language. Number 3 is definitely my favorite because ever since I started studying Korean, I've always craved for the knowledge and understanding of the culture, and that has definitely helped me in my pursuits in learning the Korean language. I'm not sure if this is a very important thing to bring up, but I wanted to bring it up anyways. There is a warning in the preface that states that this book does talk about some sensitive or awkward topics, but the reason for this is because other Korean teachers and books are reluctant to mention them, and they come with the words that are being taught, so it's not just for no reason. This also makes this book stand out against all the others. But now, let's get into the book. In the first section of this book, you can learn about different words that are used to address different types of people in Korea. You learn the basic usage of the word, expectations, when this word should not be used, as well as a pronunciation check at the end of each chapter. So if you don't know Hangul quite yet, you can still get the most out of this book. In addition, some chapters are filled with sections that talk about other things like politeness and formality, the culture and context of the given word, as well as similar variations for the word. But this specific point doesn't come out until the emotion section of the book that I will talk about very soon. This book was not a heavy read, so I was able to read a good amount of chapters in one sitting. I finished this book in about 2 weeks, but I believe it could be finished quicker depending on how consistently it is being read. Personally, the emotion section was my personal fave. Similar to the people section setup, but this section gave me an insight on Korean slang and how it originated and how much it has changed over the years. I was really impressed about how detailed each chapter's explanations were, and I felt like I learned so much. What I did fail to mention before, and I wanted to bring up, that along with the books, there are also references like Korean proverbs, sayings, and like little facts throughout the book. My favorite one mentioned is, if you speak beautiful words, then people will speak beautifully to you. There are explanations for these types of things in the footnotes, which I found to be extremely helpful as I read the book. To effectively use this book and get the most out of it, I recommend taking notes or highlighting things that stick out to you alongside reading. Annotating will help you pick out the most important information that you might find interesting or you want to go back to study later. For annotating personally, I use post-it notes to elaborate on certain points that I liked, as well as little page markers to go mark little things or little quotes that I liked. I also used a post-it to write down different facts or different notes that I just wanted to remember later and go back to them when I was doing my regular Korean study session. Another thing you can do to effectively get the most out of this book is to find real-life examples and usage of the words that you learned. While watching your favorite K-dramas or listening to the newest K-pop song, try to listen for these words and hear how they sound. Personally, for me, hearing words that I learned and understanding them in real-life usage makes me feel so accomplished. And so I hope after you read this book, you can get that experience. On the Amazon description page of this book, there is a list of types of people that the author specifically mentions that he recommends for this book. But for me as a reader, I really would like to share who I think is a great fit for this book. So I recommend this book for the K-pop or K-drama fan, for someone looking for a K-culture book that is different than others, a curious Korean learner ready to immerse themselves in Korean culture to help aid their Korean studies, and just anyone who is curious about Korean culture or who just wants to learn about Korean culture. You don't necessarily have to be learning a language to read this book. It is really good for anyone who is just interested in Korea in general. If I'm being completely honest, I'm definitely all four types of these people that I mentioned, and I'm glad that I picked up this book, and I can't wait for more books like this from My Korean Dic. In the meantime, I'm going to be binge watching all of his content, and I hope to find you all there. But in conclusion, if I were to rate this book out of 5 stars, it would definitely get all 5. Everything about it is appealing and very informational, and it was totally worth the money that you spend, and it's something that you can always go back and reference after your first read through. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and let's talk about it in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
The sun is up, it's a beautiful day. My beginning will be as bright as the sun. Come, won't you come along? And it feels so bright, it's like luck is raining on me.